Good morning. Thanks, Evan, for that introduction, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invite this morning to speak to you. It's just about 8 weeks since I took on this job, and I've been saying to people that this feels like the moment of maximum jeopardy, where you've been in the job long enough that people expect that you know, and you're absolutely across every detail of the brief. But when you stand in rooms like this with experts, you're never going to know as much as everyone else who you're talking to. So hopefully I'll get through the next 8 minutes or so without any major slip-ups. The clear steer that I was given by the Prime Minister when I took on this job was to reduce energy bills by making millions more homes warm, safe and fit for the 21st century. And for anyone who's looking at their energy bills this winter, that is, to put it lightly, no mean feat. But it's also one of the defining missions of this government, and it's an absolute privilege to be tasked with delivering it. Everyone here today has a role to play in delivering that mission, whether you're from a housing association, a financial institution, local government, or you're part of the supply chain. And you'll all have your own reasons for working in this industry. But for me, and part of the reason why I was so pleased to be asked to take on this role, is there is a personal connection for me. I was born and raised in Greenock on the west coast of Scotland, in the constituency that I now represent in Parliament. I grew up in the same 4-in-a-block ex-council flat that my grandparents first moved into after the war. And that housing, which was built in the 1930s, provided a roof over the heads of 3 generations of my family over the course of more than 70 years. It gave me, my dad, his brothers, the best possible start in life. But the flat also changed with the times. In the 1940s, the block was bombed out during the Greenock Blitz by some slightly misguided Luftwaffe bombers in search of shipyards who mistook the reservoir behind the house for the River Clyde, which was quite the mistake to make. But it was rebuilt along with countless other homes in my town, thanks to the ambition at that time of the local district council, ensuring that the whole community had housing they could afford and somewhere to live in pride and comfort. A few years ago, when my mum was still alive and living in the same home, the block and the homes around it were refurbished and insulated as part of a government scheme. And I saw the direct impact of warm, secure, modern homes, not just bringing down bills for families, but renewing pride in an entire neighbourhood when they did that work on an area-based approach. That's why this job means so much to me. It's a chance to make a genuine difference to people's lives now and for generations to come. And let me give you an idea of what we're trying to achieve. As you're all well aware in this room, Britain has the oldest housing stock in Europe. A third of it was built before the Second World War. And every time heat escapes through a leaky window or because of a lack of insulation, that's more money on bills and it's more carbon in the atmosphere. And as we speed up the transition to clean homegrown power, we need to make sure that households feel the benefits. It's also clear that getting the homes of the future right from the outset will avoid disruptive and costly retrofit down the line. And that's why transforming the nation's housing stock and building homes fit for the 21st century is at the heart of our mission for clean energy, as well as the Prime Minister's plan for national renewal. The way I always like to talk about this mission is the first Labour government. I'm a fan of history, so if you indulge me for a moment in this, the first Labour government in the 1920s, with the changes that they made to social housing, subsidised the building of, I think it was around about 500,000 council homes. What we are trying to do over the course of this Parliament is 10 times that. We are trying to upgrade 5 million homes by the end of this Parliament through the Warm Homes Plan. And so that's entire streets, it's whole neighbourhoods benefiting from solar panels, heat pumps, home batteries and better insulation. And to make sure we deliver on that, we've matched every single penny that we promised for this in opposition, £13.2 billion. And we'll be publishing the full details of the Warm Homes Plan soon. But what I can tell you today is that we are making progress with around 180,000 homes upgraded already for those most in need. But today is about building the next generation of homes. On top of the retrofit challenge, we've also set the target of building 1.5 million new future-proof homes by the end of the decade. And I want to explain how we're planning to do that. First, we're raising the bar for energy efficiency. These will be warm, safe homes which provide an affordable foundation upon which future generations can build their lives. As you know, the Future Homes Standard consultation sets out plans for new homes to produce at least 75% less carbon emissions than 2013 standards. Heat pumps and heat networks, which will become increasingly important, will become the norm, as will solar panels on rooftops, saving the typical household £500 a year. So I want to thank the Future Homes Hub and everyone involved in the Future Homes Standard Implementation Board and working groups. We are working hard to deliver this new standard, and my colleague from MHCLG, Sam Dixon, will be speaking to you about this in a moment. Second, we recognise that this plan can only succeed if we have the right people with the right skills in the right places to deliver it. In October, we published the first ever national plan to recruit and train the workers required to deliver our clean energy mission, with over 400,000 new jobs set to be created by 2030. And I know the Construction Skills Mission Board, led by industry, is already developing a comprehensive skills action plan to mobilise the next generation of construction workers, which is fantastic news. But we want to continue working with everyone in this room to get this right. Take heat pumps, for example, which we identified in our industrial strategy as one of the sectors with the greatest potential to drive growth and to create jobs. The Heat Pump Association estimates that the number of installers will need to increase to around 70,000 people by 2035 if we're to meet the ambition that we have. And that means training at least over just around about 6,500 installers a year. The good news is that we're already ahead of that target, with around 9,000 people receiving training in the last year. And we're now building on that success by extending the Heat Training Grant and launching the Warm Home Skills Programme. Third and finally, we know that delivering clean power by 2030 won't count for much, and many of you who are home builders in the room will understand this. It won't count for much if you can't connect to it reliably and efficiently. And that's why we've proposed sweeping reforms to accelerate grid connections, swapping the old queue for a more flexible, first ready and needed, first connected approach. And it's why we're seeking to remove excess generation and storage from the queue to speed up connections for demand projects in all sectors, including housing. And you'll also be aware that Ofgem is undertaking an end-to-end review of the connection obligations network, and we expect them to publish next steps later this year. Let me finish where I began, and that's the difference we can make. As a local councillor and then as an MP and now as a minister, I've seen firsthand what a huge impact small changes can have on people's lives. A few weeks ago, on my first visit in this role, I visited an Art Deco social housing block in Lewisham, about half an hour from here, which had been upgraded extensively with roof insulation, new windows, solar panels, bringing down bills by 30% in a way which restores the beauty of the original architecture. Residents told me how happy they were to be cutting their emissions and bringing down their bills, but they also spoke of the pride and dignity that work brought to the whole neighbourhood. The same pride and dignity that my family felt when our 4-in-a-block flat in Greenock was made fit for the future. And that's what we're setting out to achieve on a national scale by building the next generation of energy-efficient homes. And I'm looking forward to working with absolutely everyone in this room as we learn from each other, challenge each other, and work harder than ever to ensure everyone has somewhere safe and warm to call home. Thank you.